Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So in today's video, let's talk about, is now the time to buy a third generation Toyota Tacoma? Behind me is a TRD Pro. I've borrowed this from Hendrick Lexus Northlake, so take a look at their website. That link is down in the description. But over the last year or so, since the fourth generation was released and now they're at dealers and people have actually bought them, let's talk about the third gen versus the fourth gen. If you're new to the channel, I owned a second, I owned a third. My fourth gen will be here very shortly. And so we've been able to see a lot of comments between the third and the fourth gen, pros and cons to both of these generations. And we have a huge price difference in a lot of these models. We also have some very expensive models as well. So just for a reference, about a year ago, I sold my 2017 TRD off-road with 45,000 miles on it for about $35,000. We have a 2019 in front of us. The third gen goes till 2023, of course, but this 2019 has around 60,000 miles on it. And from what I've been able to find, even the TRD Pros here are going for the mid $40,000 range and slightly higher just depending on mileage. So we have about 60,000 miles on this. It's going to be closer to that $40,000 mark, which is still a lot of money even with 60,000 miles. But you could argue with this NAV6, which is a very healthy and reliable engine, this truck still has a lot of years to go with that mileage. But for 40 grand, you could get into a base fourth gen, possibly, with the four-cylinder turbo in it, and you can get a brand new truck. So it really just depends on what you're looking to get. But even on the used market, even Tacoma third gen SR and SR5 models are going for $30,000 to $40,000, again, just depending on the mileage and what options the truck had. So real quick, we'll just take a look around this TRD Pro, where we have the iconic hood scoop, the rigid fog lights, along with the TRD wheels. What's interesting to see though about this specific TRD Pro is that we still have manual adjusting seats. So there's the bar and the controls here. No power seats for this TRD Pro, which I was shocked to see. I thought the TRD Pro came with that, but we have the leather seats there, TRD shift knob, and then of course the back seat space here, which is really not all that different from the fourth gen. This truck has this aftermarket rack of some kind on the bed there, and nothing too special with the TRD Pro. I will say we have the suspension. That's about it. I believe these are aftermarket wheels as well. They look a little bit larger than the factory ones. So personally, I wouldn't want to buy the TRD Pro just because I like to do all the modifications myself, which is why I bought a TRD off-road for my third gen, and I made it much more capable than this in the stock FOURR as you would buy it. But that's not everyone's taste. Some people just want to buy it as is. Perfectly fine either way. I do think this is a bit more money though for not all that much more. I had crawl control in my TRD off-road as well, so some of those tech features weren't really all that different. So before we hop behind the wheel now for this Toyota Tacoma, let's take a little bit deeper of a dive into pricing for the third and the fourth gen Tacomas. Now, right off the bat, on page one here, we have the exact truck that we are driving, this 2019 TRD Pro, 59,000 miles, $38,000. So we also have a few other trim levels here, like the SR, that's going for a lot of money. $32,000 for 45,000 miles, when you could spend a little bit more and you could have got my truck, which was a few years older, but it had a lot more than more of a basic truck like that. Most of these seem to be in the $30,000 price range. We have the mid 30s there, low 30s. If we go to a different website now, we have a few others almost creeping up to 40 for this 2023 here. But take a look at this. This is where things can get blown out of proportion a little bit. We have a 2024 Toyota Tacoma for $62,000. I think from that picture, this was a TRD Sport, if I'm not mistaken. It also has the hybrid, so the iForce Max there, a TRD Sport. This is a vehicle that you shouldn't buy just because that price is ridiculous with where it is being listed. You could get a TRD Pro for that same price there. So keep in mind there's going to be some dealer markups and things. That is all based on the dealer. Small rant, do your shopping, don't overpay. Work with a dealership that is going to get you your MSRP or less. I'm going to be buying my TRD off-road for MSRP with the dealer that I am working with. Now let's just take a quick look at compare some of those prices to the 2024 year model. So we've been hovering between $30,000 and $40,000, which is going to get you an SR, an SR5, a TRD pre-runner, possibly a TRD Sport, and a TRD Off-Road. Off-Road is pushing $40,000, so it just depends again on mileage. Lower mileage, third gen, TRD Pros even, will go for much more, so more than 40 grand there. But you have 4 different trim levels here that you can buy brand new. All of these are the standard engine. So this is the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder turbo. If we swipe over now, we can actually get into the iForce Max. So now we have the hybrids, which are all going to be roughly $45,000 and more expensive. So you get that in the TRD Sport and the higher trim level. So again, those can be equivalent to some of the 2023s. Really just depends on the mileage and the trim level that you're going with. It's a tough decision, but let's get back into today's video and get this third gen out on the road. And so now that we are behind the wheel, I just want to start off with some of the comments that I've seen on a lot of our videos regarding the third and the fourth gen Tacoma. The third generation is a great truck. I really did enjoy owning my 2017. I had it for just over 6 years, and I did everything to that truck. So if you want to see all the modifications that I did, we have a Tacoma playlist where you can view all of that. But I really thought this was a great truck. It was my dream truck, having a Tacoma, my second Tacoma as well. And the only thing I really didn't like about it, after a while, I could tell everyone's complaints about the power, the lack of power with this 3.5 liter V6, about 278 horsepower. It definitely needed a bit of horsepower increase, a bump and increase, especially when you compare it to the competition, some of the other mid-sized trucks that were pushing over 300 horsepower. Now, on the other side of it, it is a pickup truck. It's not something that is a 0 to 60 type of vehicle. However, when I threw on 35s, I re-geared it. I could still see where there would be a need in some more horsepower. So aside from that, it's a great truck. It drives very nicely. Some of the newer models had a re-gear or a retune in the transmission. I had to re-gear my 2017 just because of the gear hunting, which is a major issue with the third gens. Having 6 speeds for the automatic, the gear hunting was crazy, especially if you were towing, even with some larger tires. But it went away after I re-geared my truck. So I think 2019, maybe some of the newer models, 2020 and up to 2023, had a software tune for the transmission and they didn't gear hunt as much. But that was still a major issue, even if you buy one on the used market, having the gear hunting, especially out on the highway. And you definitely have a very reliable engine. So this is going to last you 300,000 miles easy. I've seen a lot of Tacomas in the Tacoma groups I've been a part of where owners have 350,000 miles on these engines with no issue. So it is a tried and true engine for the Toyota Tacoma. Now, if we talk about the 4th gen Tacoma now, just briefly, you have 2 different engine options. You have you basically have the 4-cylinder hybrid and then just the 4-cylinder turbo hybrid. So there's those 2 there, but they have a lot more horsepower and a lot more torque than this 3rd gen. We also have an 8-speed automatic now versus the 6-speed in this, so the gearing is much better. We just don't have the same tried and true engine as this naturally aspirated V6. And obviously, since it's a somewhat of a brand new engine, Toyota has been using that in different markets, so it's not new, it's just new to the USA. We don't have 10 years experience for the USA market with that engine. And there have been a few minor issues with that engine, but being Toyota, I feel like they are easily going to remedy any of these minor issues that they've had. There's no major issues that I've seen. I've seen some 4th gen Tacoma owners already over 10,000 miles on their trucks with very minimal issues, maybe some software updates, things like that. I have seen some comments about transmission issues, some engine failures. I really haven't seen that, so I'm not exactly sure where some of that information is coming from. But to answer a question about getting the 4th gen Tacoma, I'm definitely not worried about buying one. If you buy a brand new vehicle, you're going to have a warranty as well. But with Toyota, I feel like it's going to be a great engine to go with. But the NAV6 is still going to be something that you just can't beat with these vehicles. And it's also crazy to see. So we have the third generation Tacomas that are still going for, you know, $40,000-$45,000, maybe even a little bit more. And we have 4-cylinder pickup trucks now that are going for about the same, if not even more. We do have the 2024 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro that starts at $64,000-$65,000. So in that comparison, if you want to get a TRD Pro, you can save $20,000-$25,000 by getting one that is going to have some miles on it. So we have almost 60,000 on this specific truck right here. 20-25 grand's a lot of money. 60,000 versus 0 miles. You know, it's a trade-off, obviously, between what you want to get. And then obviously we have the newer seats in the 24. There's also the different engine as well. And we have completely different body style. So it's a redesign for the 4th gen. But these prices for trucks today have been increasing and increasing. Now, when I sold my 2017 Toyota Tacoma, I didn't really realize at the time that I'd be spending about 15 to 20 grand more for my 4th generation Tacoma. But with the content and everything that I would like to film with it, it's definitely worth it for me. And if you want a brand new truck, you like the redesign, I definitely like the updates for the 4th gen Tacoma over the 3rd gen, even though I do miss my 3rd gen Tacoma. Let's give a little bit of gas here. So nothing crazy in a truck I don't own, but it's still not that quick. If I did that same acceleration in the 4th gen, we'd be up to speed just with that low end power and torque, especially with the hybrid giving you that electric assistance down low. It's something that I personally like as far as, you know, getting up to speed and merging and things like that. But the 3rd and 4th gen Tacomas, even some of the 2nd gens, if you can find a really nice one. I haven't looked at those too often since the 3rd and the 4th gen are a little bit more popular. They're expensive trucks. It's expensive across the board as in terms of the competition as well. So you're looking to get a Ford Ranger Raptor, even that truck is going to cost you, I think they're about 58, I think. They're right around that $60,000 mark, which is still expensive. You know, TRD Pro is going to be a little bit more expensive than that, but there's the GMC Canyon, the AT4Xs are going to be 65 grand. It's nuts to see. I remember when a Ford Raptor used to cost $58,000, $59,000 for a full-size truck with all those capabilities, but now we have mid-size trucks that are around that MSRP. Now, not to say that's good or bad. Obviously, we want, you know, less expensive vehicles, but for the price, that's kind of, you know, what today's market is. It's crazy to see used vehicles costing almost that much as well, especially for the 3rd versus 4th gen comparison. So comment down below, let me know, would you rather buy a used 3rd gen Tacoma or would you rather buy a brand new 4th gen Tacoma? So we have a TRD Pro, 60,000 miles, roughly $40,000 give or take. Brand new one's going to cost you 65. And then we have the other trim levels, SR, SR5. There's a few new ones for the 4th generation though, but it's nuts. It's pretty crazy. So if you want to buy a 3rd gen Tacoma, you're not a fan of the hybrid, the 4-cylinder and a pickup truck for the 4th generation, which 3rd gen would you go with? How many miles do you want to buy your truck with to be comfortable with your decision on getting a 3rd gen? Personally, I wish I could have kept my 3rd gen and then bought a 4th gen, had both of them, and then decided which one I wanted to keep. But I am not able to do that, so I had to make that decision to sell mine and get the new one. But if I wasn't making content and wanting to do all that and parts and all that, I would have kept my 2017 for a while, for much longer than 45,000 miles. But I'm excited for the 4th gen, even though it does cost more. I believe the resale value is still going to be fairly similar. We have high resale values for the 3rd gen Tacoma. So like most Toyotas, they hold their resale value incredibly well. So I believe the 4th gen will be the same as far as what you'll be able to sell those for on the used market as well. So that's another point too. If you're buying a 3rd or 4th gen Tacoma, resale value is very, very good. I bought my truck for $34,000. 8 years later, I sold it for $35,000. So I technically didn't really lose that much on it, aside from, you know, gas, insurance, things like that. But purchase price was nearly the same, so I didn't lose anything on that truck. And so you really can't go wrong either way because of the resale value with Toyotas. So you could buy this truck with 60,000 miles on it, get it to 100,000, and you really won't lose much on it. And it'll still be an expensive truck once it hits 6 digits on the odometer. But I think that is going to wrap it up for today's video on buying a 3rd gen versus a 4th gen Tacoma, the prices of them. Let me know your thoughts. It's really every mid-size truck, every pickup truck in today's market. But let me know, are you going to buy a 3rd gen Tacoma, or are you going to hold out and get the 4th gen Tacoma? Give this video a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay tuned for all of the 4th gen content that we have coming to the channel very shortly, as well as checking out our Tacoma playlist with the 3rd gen Tacoma and everything that I did to that truck. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will see you all in the next video.